Mr. Goggins.
Good morning. It is truly an honor to be here on behalf of the livestock industry, addressing this distinguished committee and the great people you represent. In the next 15 to 20 years, when you look at the massive population growth, not only in this country but worldwide, the deal maker for the United States of America when it comes to trade with our world partners will not be our technology or our energy. It will be our food. The American producer, feeder, and packer have the know-how, work ethic, and pride to produce the highest quality, most affordable, and safest protein in the world. This is why we must demand that we, in America, do everything in our power to keep an open, fair, competitive marketplace for our producers and feeders of all sizes. Another key component to assure our domestic livestock herd remains safe and free from both domestic and foreign diseases. There have been many success stories in the previous Farm Bill programs. For example, the conservation effort that kept the sage grouse from being listed, the Beginning Farmers and Ranchers program, the disaster funding program that aided the producers in the Dakotas after the Atlas blizzards of 2013, just to name a few. In the years 2013 and 14, we all saw our once-in-a-lifetime up in the cattle market. Since then, the last year, I hope we've seen our once-in-a-lifetime down. The last year represents the largest loss in equity in the history of the U.S. cattle industry. Following are some concerns and challenges that need to be looked at and addressed by this committee. We need to find a fair and more competitive way of determining a weekly cash price on live-fed cattle. There are many avenues by which to do this, but undoubtedly need to create more transparency and competitiveness at the fed cattle level. Volatility in the marketplace is causing huge problems for everyone in the industry. The Futures Board has always been a very good tool for producers and feeders to manage risk. At the present time, it no longer can be used because of violent moves in the market, mostly due, in my opinion, to the expanded limits, high-frequency algorithmic trading. It's a speculator's market. For example, just 2 weeks ago, we sold fed cattle at a 134 to 136. The board the same morning went near limit down in the front month June to 121 something. That's a $15 basis. Now that's proof fundamentals don't have much to do with this market. However, my biggest concern about the volatility in this market is how it affects the average producer and young producers that have to borrow most of their money from the bank to purchase and feed these cattle. The lenders in turn are almost 100% of the time requiring these people to hedge 75% of those cattle they buy in order to acquire such a loan. These massive violent moves on the Futures Board cause people to pay huge margin calls, which drains their available cash, forcing them to get out of the hedge at a very unfavorable position. I know in our own family feeding operation, currently we background and feed near 50,000 head of calves a year. The Futures Board is no longer a viable tool for us due to the volatility of the market and the amount of money it takes to hold a position. This may allow us only to feed half as many cattle going forward. We need to modernize and update the Packers and Stockyards Act of 1921. This 95-year-old act needs to be modernized. Another challenge I would encourage the committee to be conscientious of is the concerns that come with overregulation. Too much government on the farm and ranch is a major concern in the country. One example is the uncertainty surrounding the EPA's Waters of the U.S. rule. I would also suggest caution on making too stringent requirements on the trucking and interstate movement of livestock. Livestock are a highly perishable commodity. If we hamper the ability to move livestock quickly and efficiently, we might actually limit opportunities for producers in parts of this country. In closing, as a producer of protein, I challenge this committee to address the concerns and issues I have just laid out. Restructure restrictive laws, update outdated laws, ensure that we have some transparency and competitiveness in our industry, and last but not least, put some sideboards on the futures market and influence the board has on the cattle market. And keep in mind, in the years to come, trade policies and currency values will heavily play on our markets. And the nations with the capabilities to produce an abundant quality, high quality, safe and affordable food supply will be the powerhouses in the global economy.
We thank you, Mr. Goggins. Thank you for the challenge. We accept it.